Hello to my professor, um, possibly my fellow students, and anyone who might relate to my recent experiences. My name is Nathan Humphrey, and recently I've been going through some adversities and hardships, and I've found that for me, it's been most productive to really focus on what I want to focus on. Like to give my energy specifically to one situation over the other, even though both exist, and I'll elaborate further on that later. But um, yeah, I say the purpose of this isn't like to say, oh, you should do this and this will help you, this and that. I didn't feel that'd be right because everyone's very different. Like you can bring up a million facts on like how this way of breathing or whatever, or this technique or this fruit or whatever reduces stress, but at the end of the day, it won't work for someone. So I figured it'd be more honest and hopefully helpful if I give my experience just to show that someone else is dealing with some stuff, and not as a way to say, oh, my thing is like you know worse than anyone else's, or like you should do what I'm doing. It's more of a way to, you know, just give an example of how someone else is, dealing with it, and hopefully it'll be applicable to your life as well. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about how my mom's been pretty sick recently for the past like 2 months. She's been in the hospital, and I've been here with my brother and the dogs and stuff, and trying to just help around the house to keep it running and keep my schoolwork going and keep my mood up too. But yeah, I'm gonna start with the hospital thing. Basically, I don't want to get too far into it. It's not all that important, but it suffice to say that she's sick and she's gonna be okay. Like she's recoverable, but she has to stay in the hospital for a long time when she gets in there, like weeks and like months at a time. So it's just been me here at the house, and that sort of, you know, it would affect my mood negatively for obvious reasons, because like no one wants their mom to be in the hospital, and I remember I would just focus on that, and I wouldn't get stuff done, and I'd be thinking like, oh, my mom's in the hospital, this sucks, when is she gonna be back? I don't feel good, I don't feel like doing anything, all this stuff. I would focus on that, and then it would just put everything in like a negative sort of perspective. Like I wouldn't want to get up and like make food. Every chore I had to do was like an apocalyptic like task. Like, uh, but after a while, stuff wasn't getting done. So I had to change what I was doing or thinking, and it was either I force myself to do it or I find a way that was easier. And so I I started to think about, since it was around Thanksgiving, like being grateful, and the being grateful and considering what I had to be happy about. It really helped change things for the better. Like, uh, you know, yeah, I could think like my mom's in the hospital, this sucks, what's gonna happen? I'm so scared, I'm so worried. But also that there is truth in that, you know, she's in the hospital with doctors who are taking care of her. Aren't I so lucky to be alive in the time I'm at? Aren't we so lucky we can afford this? Aren't we so lucky she can be there? Aren't I so lucky that I know my mom's gonna come back to me, that she's alive every day? So it's like both things are true. Like the situation obviously does suck, but I am so fortunate that I exist where when I do, and that a cold isn't like a life-ending scenario. So it's really just what you choose to give your energy towards. And I started being grateful about what was going on, my where she was, that she was healing. I would check on her, I would get up and I'd be more happy about stuff because I would apply that sort of thought to like each thing I do. Like, is walking the dogs really a chore that's like torturous, or is it like I get to walk my dogs? Like, do I have to or do I get to? And I like walking my dogs, so I I I get to. And it was just a lot of other stuff like that. I started to keep an open and positive mind because like I wasn't feeling good, and I realized one of the reasons was I was stuck in the house. So when you're sad, the first thing when people ask you to go out and do something is like, oh no, I don't want to do anything. I don't even feel good enough to do anything. So, but uh, when you keep that open thought and it's like, oh well, something really good could happen, and you go and you accept these, opportunities, then yeah, I found with this mindset, good stuff just has been happening to me. Like, uh, I've been meeting a lot of goals. I went to a party with my friend and I met this girl, and that's working out really good. So I I just found that having this attitude and trying to find the good stuff, even when something does suck, it usually helps at even the hard things, become easier. Like it just makes everything easier. And I just wanted to say that some things genuinely are just bad. Like, I don't like that sort of thinking where it's like, oh, well, everything has an upside. Like, there are some situations that are just not good. And it's important to accept, your feelings on that. It's, if you just, if you, like, say that there's always an upside, you kind of invalidate your feelings of something being sad. Like, sometimes you have to be sad. We can't be happy all the time. That's not how life works. So when a sad or a bad emotion needs your attention, it's good to give it that attention. It's like if you were having a really good time and then you tried to only focus on the negative, it would it wouldn't make any sense, right? Like you're in a great time and you're looking for things to be sad about. So when you're sad and it's genuinely a like sad thing, and you feel like you need to like pay attention to that, you should. But yeah, um, despite my rambling on, I'd like to recap some of the main points, and I think that's for me when I become bogged down with a negative perspective, I find it is important to take like a broader view of everything and accept that in life it's never just there's a good or bad thing happening. Like there is always something to be grateful about, and there's always something to be sad about. It's just which one is more important to you in your goal. Do you need to take that time to be sad about this thing, or are you okay to move forward and focus on the good thing? But yeah, I think the steps I usually take is I figure out what things exist for me to be grateful for. I accept what's going on around me and how I feel. Like, is this a thing I really need to like be sad about? Is this a thing that I can just, is it that big? Like, does it matter like that? And then when I go to face the adversity or the hardship, whatever it is, I'll, try and find something else because even when you're doing something that you don't want to do and is hard, there is always an upside to it. Like, oh, what if you meet someone cool? What if the day goes by easier than you think? What if, your friend comes into work? What if this, that, or whatever else? So, you know, and even if there isn't, you get a break afterwards. So you're definitely gonna be able to plan to enjoy that, right? So there's always ways to get a gain out of anything. So, well, most things, at least in my experience. But yeah, these are just my personal experiences, and I know that everyone has hardship, but not everyone is like me, so maybe this won't work. But I would like to challenge you to try and, you know, do what I described, figure out what you have to be grateful for, accept how you're feeling, and if you can or cannot move on from this, if you should take the time or not. And then if you can, to, face it with grace and think about something positive in conjunction with it. Because no matter what, no matter how you feel or how things go, at least in my experience, there is always something good and bad happening that you can focus on. They may not be equal in their importance in your life, but there is always something good and something bad to feel a way about. So yeah, just try and keep that mindset or use it or whatever you want. But yeah, I hope it works out for you.